I have learned that Heavenly Father's plan for us is fabulous. That what we do in this life really matters. And that the Savior's atonement is what makes our Father's plan possible.
Hello and welcome again to another episode of Thinking Celestial, the Follow the Prophet podcast, where we review General Conference talks, and I am here in the shadow of the Deseret Peak and near the Deseret Peak Temple with the Deseret Peak High School Seminary Council.
Yay!
Yeah! There was a little bit of a delay. That's okay. I'm so glad. And thanks for being here, you guys. My name is Dr. Kirk Burbidge. I'm an institute teacher at the Salt Lake Community College Institute of Religion on the Redwood campus. And we're going to review today Remembering the Sheep by Elder William K. Jackson of the 70. And I'm fascinated by this talk for the main reason that it feels a little administrative, but now we have a group of teenagers choosing to talk about it because their seminary council advisor made them, which is always good, right? Voluntold is better than volunteer. Mac, why don't we start with you, and we'll just kind of go around the room, introduce yourself and one random memorable thing about you that we should know.
Oh boy. Okay. I'm Macintosh Nielsen, or just Mac. One memorable thing, I guess, is when I was 3, a plate cut off my finger, and it's still like that.
I can testify that that's true. This is not video, but you do have a janky finger. Okay, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Taylor Reynolds. I also go by Tay. I love to dance and to travel.
Hi, my name is Brinley Mon, and I love dolphins. They're my absolute favorite animal in the world, and one time I got to swim with them, and it was amazing.
Hi, I'm Ethan Dieter, and a memorable thing about me is when I was 2 years old, I fell on the stair and cracked open my lip and had to get stitches.
So injuries from the boys, apparently, and like constructive things from the girls so far. We'll see where this goes. All right, thank you, Ethan. Keep going.
Hi, my name is Edwin Owens. I go by Edwin. Something memorable about me is what I wear. I wear really bright highlighter stuff usually.
Sweet. Today you're like very muted.
Well, it's in the wash right now. So.
I just want to say you also have the best hair of all the dudes. Seriously.
Yeah.
And some of the girls. No offense, you guys. You have
I hear
fantastic
that a lot.
hair. Fantastic
I hear that
hair.
a lot.
It's awesome. All right, cool.
I'm Shayla Shami, and I absolutely love Harry Potter. A lot of people make fun of me because I'm from England, and so they're like, oh, you have to like Harry Potter because you're from England.
And that's not true. You just like it.
I just like it.
It's magical, right? Anybody? Okay, I tried. Okay, keep going.
My name is Kate Weeks, and I love Jesus.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I think that's pandering, but we'll take it. All right, Todd, go.
My name is Todd Atkin, and one time I was on a tramp, and I leaned back, and I leaned right through the flap, and I just tumbled down the stairs, and I probably barely broke an arm, but I was like flailing it, running back to my mom. So I was like,
it's a guy thing to talk about injuries and injured moments. Immediately, we're all thinking of moments when we almost died. That's great. And let me ask you an impromptu question and see who answers, just for fun, just to see where we're going with this.
Get the buzzers out.
Everybody's ready. The impromptu question is, why would a seminary student want to continue their gospel learning at Institute? Because you're not there yet, but you're close. You're juniors in high school. Edwin looks like he's ready. Are you ready, Edwin?
I am.
Okay,
yeah.
go.
Okay, so one reason that a seminary student might want to continue their spiritual education at Institute is because we don't know everything, you guys don't know everything, but we can learn from each other.
That's a great answer. Anybody else? I saw a couple hands. Go, Todd.
Because
Mac.
Yeah.
Todd's over there.
If you love Jesus, you'd want to go to Institute.
Okay. All right. I like it. Anybody else? Go.
It's just a great environment to be in, and just like being around people who believe in the same stuff as you is so beneficial for keeping up on that stuff, and it's just super fun.
Yeah, one more, please.
Going to Institute can really apply to your life. Like seminary now, it can really apply to like what's going on in my life. Like if I'm confused or something's going on, I feel like sometimes it's easier to go to seminary where there's like a lot more people who are very open and who may be going through the same thing as me.
Awesome. Those are all absolutely true. And let me just encourage you to remember that when you become a busy college person, with lots of things to do, making time for God is a big, big, important step for you to grow. And President Nelson and President Oakes now have made promises about Institute attendance. So,
I was going to say another reason you could join Institute is it's kind of like in lifting or in running, like you have to be consistent. And if you start to struggle and start to kind of lack in that, then your ability in that just kind of shrinks. And it's the same aspect with the gospel. If you aren't continuing to feed your spirit, then your spirit's just going to starve.
yeah, discipleship isn't static, is it? It's something that has to be added to all the time.
For sure.
I think that's fantastic. Okay, awesome. Well, good answers, you guys. If you're interested in an Institute class and you're listening to this podcast, or you guys who are watching this podcast, you're here in the room, go to myinstitute.churchofjesuschrist.org and find a class near you. When the time comes for you to prepare for your future missions or whatever's going to happen, take an Institute class, myinstitute.churchofjesuschrist.org. There's institutes out here in the Tooele area. There's also some at Redwood Road, where I teach. You should come there. It's awesome. And there's lots of opportunities for you to continue your growth. Good answers all the way around. Good job. Okay. So the talk, Remembering the Sheep, it starts off with this little blurb, the principle of counting and accounting works. It is the Lord's way. Now, I am a nerd when it comes to General Conference. And one of the things that this talk has that no other General Conference talk has is what it doesn't have, which is footnotes. If you'll notice that all the conference talks, and if you take a second to print them out, there are 15 to 30 footnotes on every talk. Some of them are extra parts of the talk with words in them and paragraphs. Elder Jackson doesn't have a footnote, not one. And it's fascinating to me that there's no footnotes. So I don't know what you want to take out of that, but that's just one interesting little factoid. But his whole talk is about gathering sheep. So where do we start with this? As high school seminary council students, where do you start with a talk like this? What's the first most important principle we want to go to? Brinley, you raised your hand. Go.
When we were told to read this one, we all just kind of read it, and we each kind of selected our own little paragraph. One of the things that I definitely think is most important for seminary is just knowing people, just making them feel loved.
How have you felt that as a seminary student?
Well, we had this one experience. There was this special ed kid in my class, and it was so fun to have him in there. And one day, me and my friends went to the Desert Peak Temple right over there, and we saw him there. Now, he is in a wheelchair, so he couldn't do baptisms, but he was able to do confirmations, and it was just so sweet to see his dedication there. I felt super proud of everybody because he felt comfortable enough to come up and talk with us after. And it was just super special to see that. And then we all went and got ice cream after, and he just so happened to be there too. And so he came back over to us, and we were just all eating our ice cream at Macy's and just talking. And I hope that he felt so loved in that moment because it was just super cool.
I think it's very important for us to realize that knowing someone and naming someone is as important as all the other things combined, because the gospel is a unifying thing.
Yeah.
So I love that you brought that up. Anybody else want to share something? Go ahead,
I like
Ethan.
how you talked about how it's like a unifying thing and the aspect of the name, because that's what Jesus did when he comes from the tomb and is speaking with Mary. He specifically says her name, Mary.
Yeah.
And then she has this experience where she recognizes him, and just knowing people by their name is just helps them know that they are loved and that they are children of God.
Take a second and do a little mental inventory of all these great visions in the scriptures. How do they usually start? Someone's name is called, right? Joseph Smith, Joseph, right? Moses, Samuel, like everybody, even when Adam and Eve partake of the forbidden fruit, what happens right off the bat? God calls Adam by name. So I'm going to throw a little question out to you to think about. How can you now go and do, or how can you name the people around you better? Like what can happen in your life? Okay, that's the question. Edwin, what did you want to say?
Maybe just start by learning their name.
Okay, how do you do that? Like I've watched teenagers.
Hey, what's your name?
Oh, hey, my name's Ethan. Nice to meet you.
We had a role play right here, everybody. It was fantastic. But see, so why don't we? Because I don't know how big Deseret Peak High School is, but the high school that my kids go to is Cypress Heights. It's very large. It's almost 3,000 students. You can walk through a day, however, and not find out a new name in those high schools, especially because you guys don't have to talk to anybody to be entertained. You have your own stuff in your pocket. What do you think?
Goal setting.
Okay.
For social goal, like we have that set of goals that we do. For your social goal, you could go find one new person a day.
How do you get over? So how many of you want to do that right now? Really, honestly. Oh, look
Personally,
at you.
I love meeting new people. It's great.
Okay.
That's actually something that I did like freshman year, sophomore year. That was one of my goals, was to go and meet new people. Try and make one person smile a day. Try and make someone I don't know smile a day.
How many of you are hesitant to do that? Instant hands. Todd, take the microphone, Todd. Let me ask you a question then. Why are you hesitant?
I think something that can make me feel hesitant is, like, I don't know where other people are at, and I'm always scared of, like, judgment from others, trying to break out of social norms and trying to say hi to people that other people might think is not that high in the social hierarchy or things like that, stupid stuff. But there's this quote that I heard that says that we need to seek validation vertically, but not horizontally. So
Okay, so apply that to what you just said.
just keeping that in my mind while I'm going about my day and being present, and then just not caring what other people think.
Yeah, there it is. It's hard to not care, but that's part of the deal, isn't it? Oh man, okay, I love it. Where are we at?
Can I add
Yeah,
something
go
to that?
add something to
I
that,
think
please.
another thing is, like, we don't want others to feel uncomfortable, so we don't want to reach out to others like, oh, like, what if they're like, think I'm weird, or like, they're like, oh, like, I don't want to talk to you. We don't want to make others feel uncomfortable.
Sure. Talia, your paragraph shared something that I was interested in. You took the paragraph 6, I believe, 3 and 6. I can't remember. Was that
Yeah,
right?
3
Okay,
and
fair.
6, yeah.
Fair enough. So in 6, he says something like, even if just one net, this is about middle of the way through the 6th paragraph, even if just one net is properly positioned, that young man will be safe, noticed, and remembered. And I thought, because he describes all these nets that we have built in. And while that's true, we fall through those nets all the time. And then this young one will be safe, noticed, remembered. And I wrote, how do we help everyone feel, in my margins, how do we help everyone feel safe, noticed, and remembered with it not being creepy or stalky? Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's a very good question. I feel like a way to let them know that they're in this net is to just really be kind to them. I feel like that's one of the biggest things, is just being kind and being someone who listens. I feel like some of the people who I feel like I can depend on the most and who I know at least care about me, even if I don't talk to them that much or consider them one of my closest friends, I definitely know that they are like a safety net to me, because I know that they are willing to listen. I know that they genuinely care about me, because they're actually trying to listen and they're actually trying to help, which is why I feel like seminary teachers and leaders, they are very good at that, because they actually genuinely care about the kids, because they know their kids by name, and they may not always know what they're going through, but they are willing to listen and to be there for them, which is why I really appreciate them.
What a great answer. You kept using the word genuine. Somebody here, talk about that a little bit. Why is genuineness? I see some hands. Oh yeah, that's Shayla. And you're the very next paragraph, Shayla, right? So talk about why genuine is so important, and especially how we can be that way and get over our fear. Because I feel the same way that Todd does sometimes. Like, I don't want to bother you. I'm not one of those weird Mormons talking to you, right?
Yeah, I think being so genuine to people makes a connection with them, because when you're just talking to them just to have a conversation to fill in time, I think that makes people feel down, I guess. But when you're genuine with them and when you ask them questions about themselves, that makes them feel important. And then the next time you see them, you can ask them more about that same topic. Like the first time you talk to them, you can say, oh, hey, how are you doing in your math class? And then the next time you see them, say, how did you do on your assignment in math class? And then just
I like it. Yeah. Go, Kate. You had to say something. Good response, Shayla, by the way.
Yeah, one thing that I think is important about being genuine is also letting go of yourself. And I feel like pride gets in the way a lot of when you're talking to people. My grandma always says to put yourself on the shelf and then just like once you let go of yourself, then you can be genuine with people and actually care about what they're going through.
If I can give you any advice to you teenagers in the room, it is this. People are thinking about you far less than you think they are. People are worried about your clothes and your hair and your shoes far less than you think they are. In fact, most of the time, unless you're Edwin, because he's got just glorious hair, I'm guessing he probably thinks about his hair more than any of us do, right? If you can get through your head that we're just that we're probably more worried about those dumb things in our own lives than anyone else, then suddenly it doesn't matter. And that's powerful, especially when you're now a disciple of Christ. So I love that you're saying that. Put yourself on the shelf. And you talked about pride. Can I share something fun with you guys? The most recent talk by our prophet, Dallin H. Oaks, from a basketball stadium at BYU. Remember that? Did you watch it? Oh, yeah. You need to watch it. It's fantastic. Did you note something he said about this? So he goes through 4 different things that we need to be better at, and they're worried about 4 different points. The second point was humility or pride, right? He spends 8 minutes of his talk on that, more than any other part. It's about a 30-something minute talk. A third of his talk is on getting over yourself and pride. And you just brought it up. I love that. Fantastic. Okay, well, where are we at? Who wants to add something to this conversation about how to invite people? Todd, go.
It popped in my head, so I don't know if it's like a formulated idea yet, but...
It's okay, spit it out. We'll figure it out with you.
So there's another podcast I listened to, and it said something about...
What's it called? Let's give
It's called
my
This
hundreds
is Kingdom. And
This is Kingdom.
You know Emily Bell Freeman?
Oh,
her
fantastic.
daughter is on
Yeah.
it. So they said something like, when you celebrate what other people are doing well, or it doesn't have to be a loss for yourself, and you can have so much more joy when you celebrate others with others. And I just thought of that because we might not want to be happy for other people, because then it's like, oh, I didn't do that myself. But when we do celebrate with others, it can just be more joy for us.
It's a learned skill, though, right, Todd? Because I think it's really easy, especially when you're young and you don't have a ton of experience, to worry about all of my stuff first and be sort of faced inward versus faced outward. And it's because that's what we got.
In elementary school, they always say, worry about yourself, not your friends.
Right. And then your life is all you. Everything revolves around you guys. My sons all played basketball. My 2 sons did. My daughter was a basketball player. Another one of my sons. They all performed and did things. One of my daughters is in musicals now. And the thing that she does, everybody comes to watch her do. And now that she's not doing the musical anymore, she's like, now what do I do with myself, right? She now has to turn a little bit outward, but it's natural because everybody's coming to your stuff. So maybe that's the next question. How do you teach yourself to look outward more often than inward? That's not perfect, obviously. But how do we do that? Anybody want to comment on that? Go.
I remember it was a few weeks ago in church. I think it was actually Kate's younger sister who said this. It was... Humility is thinking about yourself less, not thinking less of yourself.
Okay.
So it's just that idea of, like, we think about ourselves so often and are just worried about, oh, what do I want? What do I need? And me, when we really need to think like Christ and be like, oh, what does this person need?
Right.
Well, how can I help my mom? How can I help my brother? How can I help so-and-so? That idea of thinking of others first, putting them above yourself.
So how do you do that often? How do you get that more often in your head?
I think simply just thinking about it and trying to remember people.
I love it. Kate?
I heard a poem once that was like, I tried to find myself I could not see, and I tried to find my God, but he eluded me. So I tried to find my brother, and then I found all 3. And so I feel like it's so important, because if you look unto Christ, and his first commandment is to love God and love others. So as you look to Christ, it's a lot easier to love his children.
What a great poem. And you had it memorized and everything. You just pulled that right out of the air. That's so good. Finding God helps you find everyone, but it's hard to remember that. We vacillate, we drift between things that we want to be selfish about, traffic, our clothes, our friends, and it's so hard not to get too caught up in that all the time. So I love that.
It really reminds me of kind of like the saying that's like the best way to learn something or to grow into something is to teach someone else or to like learn and know someone else. I feel like that also really applies to what Kate's saying, like to learn about someone else and to help them along the way kind of helps you discover more about yourself. Because when you turn outward, when you're inward, you're trying to focus on yourself, but you're not really noticing yourself. And it's only when you turn outward that you start to actually see yourself in a different kind of way. It's kind of like what you said with your daughter, not really knowing what to do. But when I notice a lot of people who've gone through that, and when they start to turn more outward, they start to find new things about themselves. They didn't even notice when they were focused more inward.
Yeah. President Oaks just said that at the very end of his talk. He said, while we're patient with ourselves, while we wait, serve. Find people to serve and help. That's fantastic. I love it. Edwin, you wanted to say something.
I like and then I tried to find my brother, and then I found all three. And God says that when we're in the service of our fellow beings, we're only in the service of Him. And so it's like easier to find ourselves and everybody else when we're trying to serve everybody else. I really like that.
Now, it takes courage, though, doesn't it? I love that you said that. Okay, Mac, here's my question for you. Are you ready?
Sure.
So my question for you is, how does a teenager find courage to step out of their comfort zone, meeting new people every day, and just be more consistent with that?
I'm not great at talking to people at all. I don't know. You just have to find it in yourself. You just have to decide one day to be courageous and actually go talk to people. I don't really know where I find it from. I just have to feel like, all right, I need to talk to someone, find that in myself, and then actually go do it.
Let me ask you a second question then,
Okay.
Matt, if that's okay.
Yeah.
When's the last time you met a new person? Besides me.
Probably last Sunday for Trek.
Why did you meet them?
I was called in their family.
There you go.
Yeah.
And how did it go right off the bat?
Not great. I don't know. I always first impressions are not my greatest. But yeah, I feel like once it did go well, we did get talking, but I don't know. For me, I don't know. I didn't make a great first impression because I'm always awkward with talking.
No,
as
not.
you can
You're
tell. I feel like you have to talk to people more to get that bond.
So but you did it, see? And that's all that matters.
Yeah.
You can't break the gospel. You can only join in it. So all you did was try, and that was really good. And a principle of intimacy, don't get weird, okay? But intimacy is getting to know people on a more important and strengthening level. Principles of intimacy is time and proximity. So the more time you spend with them and the closer you are to them, the more you'll get to know them, and the more your awkwardness that they thought you had will be like, oh yeah, that's just Mac being himself. That's pretty awesome.
That's me with prayers. I thought it was so weird talking about some of the things I deal with to Heavenly Father. I knew that He knew what I was going through. It just felt weird, but the more I kind of read scriptures and did all that, it was like, now, if I talked to a year ago me and how I prayed, He'd be like, you said that? That whoa.
You surprised God? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
You surprised the creator of the universe. Fantastic. You really are awkward. I love that. That's great. Okay.
Yeah.
Mac, fantastic. We got a hand over here. Go ahead. Brinley.
Like back to when you can't find the courage to step out of your comfort zone and maybe like meet new people or like even try and learn their names. My paragraph that I kind of chose was paragraph 2, and it talks about the story of Moroni. So a way that you can find that courage is just following the examples of the people that we read about every single week of our lives. In this story of Moroni, there's a quote, and it says that the members were numbered among the people of the Church of Christ, and their names were taken that they might be remembered and nourished by the good word of God. And I just really like that because I have the opportunity to teach preschoolers as a class over at the school.
Awesome.
And it's so fun. I love being around the kids. They're a little bit like self-absorbed in the stage of life they're in right now, so they don't really.
We're talking about reaching out of ourselves, and you're talking about. I love that. Interesting.
But it's really important to get to know the preschoolers. If they ever get upset, or like if they're sad that their mom has dropped them off at this weird high school, and they're like confined to this one room in like just their playground area, it can be hard for them. Or if they're just acting out. It's so important to use their names. Yeah. They respond to their names so much, and it means so much to them because of this like stage of development that they're in, that they're just like, oh, the world revolves around me. So if they're sad, you just say their name. Or if they're kind of acting out, you just say their name in a little stern way, and they like, oh, wait, I shouldn't be doing this.
It's amazing what a name does.
Yeah, and I don't think we ever really grow out of that. It means so much to people when you know their names and you take that time to actually truly get to know them. So just taking after that example of Moroni, who learned all of the names and like wrote them down of an entire city, I think the least we can do is know our seminary class or even our like neighbors or ward. It's so important to know them by name.
Yeah, and it's important to remember that Moroni wasn't a superhuman. He was a person just like us, and he didn't have a cell phone or a computer to keep names. So I think we have so many gifts.
Yeah.
So I love that you brought that up. Okay, Edwin, and then we had Talia. Both of you say something.
I would like to just point out, like, I don't know if you guys noticed this, but this talks about having, like, just remembering names a ton. Like, I tried to write it down on my paper, but it just talks about names a ton. Like, in my paragraph, in paragraph 12, talks about a mission leader who, during this meeting, he was looking around, and every now and then he would write something on this little piece of paper. And after the meeting, he raced to the podium and gave the paper to the branch leader. And then the branch leader had a meeting with like all of the elders, and on the piece of paper were a ton of names of people who weren't there at the meeting. And they all decided at that meeting, they decided that they were all going to choose a name and then go to that person's house and ask if they're okay and let them know that they were missed at the meeting that Sunday. And that was really inspiring for me, and that's actually something that I started doing in my preschool like 2 weeks ago when we got assigned.
Well, and what if you did that everywhere you were? What if there was a class at school where you're all working together, and not just seminary, but anywhere, that you began to know who they were, you remembered that they existed, and you asked them if they were okay. Now, I think that's the answer to how we do it so it's not creepy. I'm not asking anything of you. I don't need you to do anything. I just want to see if we missed you at class. Are you okay? Now, the first time you don't know that person, the first time, like, what? No one's ever done that before. You're weird. Leave me alone. Cool, man. Then the next time you missed them. Hey, we missed you at class. Are you okay? You're weird. Cool, man. 5 times later, guess what? They won't think. They just know that's you. And they don't care. Like, it doesn't matter. And they'll begin to go, hey, what's up, right? And it's fascinating that it takes time and consistency. So I love that you said that. Yeah. Go.
I really feel like that ties into what I kind of wanted to say. Like in paragraph 3, it was also talking about Moroni and for how it was all about people's names and the importance of names. And I really love how, like Edwin talks about, like, how they notice when someone's gone. And one thing that he says, and I quote this, any who struggled or wandered were noticed. And I absolutely love that, because like when you know a person's name, it, like Brindley said, is on a very, very personal level. And a lot of the time when you've in like high school or in life, in college, or like when you're going to institute, it's easy to forget that people actually know you're there. It's easy to like kind of lose yourself in all the hectic and all the craziness, and it's easy to think, oh, nobody really noticed that I'm gone, or it's easy to think, oh, nobody really noticed at all. And I absolutely love that it says any who struggled or wandered were noticed, because it also like really ties into like how it says that like a lot of the time so many people wander off and nobody notices, and when nobody notices, it can be very, very hard for that person to ever find their way back. So I feel like that's why it's very, very important to try and get to know people and to really focus on that, because then you can actually notice when someone's wandering, and when you notice when someone's wandering, they'll notice when you are too, and then they'll be there for you as well.
What a good phrase. It is the number one challenge for youth in your age group right now is loneliness. You are more connected to the people around you artificially than you ever have been before in your life. Yet more of you, and I'm not saying you guys, but more of your group are more lonely than ever before. And it's because you can be anonymously connected, and so no one actually knows you. That's horrible. I love that you brought that up. Mac.
Sorry, I don't want to like throw us off track too much, but I was going to go back to Brindley with how important names are, and kind of go also to the start with how we said, right, the whole restoration started with Joseph, right? His name, and how important that is. I was kind of thinking, and it's fitting. We've got a temple right behind us.
You can also literally see it from the window here.
It's
That's
awesome.
so cool.
And this is the best classroom to see it from.
Is this your classroom? It's fantastic.
But the temple, we're all about names. We constantly are getting baptized for people. So maybe, I don't know, I just constantly thought, in my paragraph 16, it says, right, we take names, we remember, and we counsel over the welfare of souls. And it also says the principle of counting and accounting works. We're kind of counting those names, making sure they're baptized, making sure they get this, so they don't feel lost. We can do it here. We can make sure we're remembering people here. That's important for the people close to us. But it's also very important for the temple. We can't even really comprehend how important that going to the temple, getting baptized for people, doing confirmations and initiatories, endowments, all that. We're also remembering those people who didn't get a chance. And I don't know, I just thought that was really cool and important.
Fantastic and powerful, because what it means is that God doesn't work in systems as much as he works in individuals. And so remember that as we go through it. Okay, one more, Todd, and then we're going to ask our final question, and you'll all hear it, so be ready. Okay, go.
Okay, so going back to how we can get more courage, I thought one tip is, actually it was already said, but I just wanted to make another point on it, about how thinking outside of ourselves it makes it so we're less insecure because we're not thinking about ourselves. And so if we're thinking about how that person is doing with genuine Christ-like love, we're not thinking about how they're thinking about us.
Right. In the end, it's caring for others more than ourselves. It's being a little more selfless instead of selfish. And that is the essence of what our Savior was. Fantastic work. Awesome. Okay, so the last question we ask all of our guests is, how has this talk helped you to think more celestially in your personal life? And since there's so many of you, what I'm going to do is have each of you just share one thing you're going to do or one thing you feel. Just one sentence. You got it? Okay, Max, start us off.
Well, first of all, I'll say thank you for having us. This has been really fun. So obviously we've seen how awkward I am, but I think
False. You're not awkward. You're great.
Debatable. But thinking celestial, I'll try and talk to more people, because just trying to bring them to celestial glory as well. That's amazing. And also maybe even make celestial friends. Be awesome.
I think I'd really talk about remembering and learning names. The whole entire time we were talking about how it all starts with God knowing your name. So it really helps me know that God knows my name and God knows everyone else's name, and we are not lost in his eyes. And that's very important to me, to know that while even if I wander, I know that even if no one else around me notices, God notices I wander and he knows my name.
What I want to focus on learning from this talk is to make sure that other people know I know their name. So if I see them in the hall, I'll just say, "Hey, you," but actually say their name.
Unless their name is you, right? I guess
yeah. Just so they know that there are people looking out for them.
For me, when I think about this name, there's this young man in our ward that makes me sad that we haven't, I'm talking about the safety nets, he's kind of fallen through all of those nets and he's kind of fallen away, and we've kind of lost track of him. And that each core meeting we're kind of oh, what can we do to help him? We're all kind of just oh yeah, we could do this, but we're not meaning it. So that's one thing I want to work on, is actually trying to get him back and to show that we care about him and that he's important to us.
I feel like something I liked in this talk was how it tells us to remember the people, and so we can check in with others, but then I want to remember the people that I talk to, and to find the courage to actually befriend them and talk to them more often.
I want to hold fast to the shepherd of all of us and the real source of light and love in this life, and bring others to our shepherd, because we are all lambs and we are all lost. And if you show others who the real shepherd is and that you show them Jesus Christ, then you'll be able to make it back to him.
Relationships are what last the longest, and we're going to thank ourselves a few thousand years from now that we counted and accounted, like how he put it.
The principle of counting and accounting works. It is the Lord's way. We can do better. To God, who created the universe and rules over all, this work, his work in glory, is very personal. And so it should be for each of us as instruments in his hands in his amazing work of salvation and exaltation. Miracles in the lives of real people will result. In the name of Jesus Christ, amen.
The Thinking Celestial Follow the Prophet podcast series has been produced by students and faculty at the SLCC Redwood Campus Institute. To listen to other episodes in this series or to enroll in the Institute class associated with these podcasts, see our website at myinstitute.churchofjesuschrist.org and click on the Taylorsville UT Redwood page. If you enjoyed this episode, please share it with a friend. This recording is not an official publication of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. The views expressed are those of the participants and are neither the official doctrine nor the Church's official teachings.